Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Hi and welcome back to the Manager Matt podcast show. I do hope you are well and you're getting results you need through your team. On this show, I want to talk all things management, communication, leaderships, and much, much more. I'm your host, Matthew Haddock, and as ever, please like, rate the show, and share with others so they can get the benefit and improve their leadership skills. Today's show, I will be diving into the topic, why you should be a tough manager. Now, when I say tough, I need to do a little bit of a caveat before the start. When I mean tough, I don't mean the tyrant. I don't mean the micromanager. I don't mean the person who is actually bad at leading. You will know if you've listened to a lot of my casts or any of my casts that you don't want a manager that way. When I mean tough, I mean in the sense of being clear, consistent, and courageous in their leadership, even when it's uncomfortable, and this is the big one, will challenge you in the right way to get results. That's what I mean by tough. I don't want a tyrant manager. I don't want a micromanager every second of the day on your shoulder and you fear coming to work, because we've all worked for managers like that and nobody wants that. But I want to talk about and dive into the idea of tough managers. When should you be a tough manager? So let's break it down. Tough versus mean. You know the difference, don't you? Tough often gets confused with this idea of being mean, or even sometimes, the idea of people being sort of almost enjoying the fact that they're a bit of a cruel manager, and that's not what we want. All I want to talk about is someone who's genuine. But there's a huge difference between the idea of tough and mean, isn't there? Being mean is a personal thing, and it's pretty bad. It's an ego-driven thing when you have a mean manager. But being tough is professional. It's not personal. It's in its principles. It's about standards. Not about feelings. It's about setting standards. And I've said in the past that people think that I am what we would quote not tough or soft. Now, I know that my personal relationships has always been a big part of what I do as a leader. And of course, I have been tough. I do get tough, but I'm not a yeller. I'm not a person who loses their temper. I don't belittle people. I don't use my power to get results by making people fear me. Now, does that make me not tough? Well, some have said not. I don't believe that. I believe I hold people to account through strong relationships. And that's how I work and how I see the difference between my results being built on a relationship but also having toughs. I know I set standards. I know I try to protect the culture of that standards, and I lead with integrity. I am emotional. I am an emotional person, but I set out facts and data to support what I do. I do naturally care, and I will defend my team. And you should always consider that. If you're going to be a tough manager and you are going to push your team and hold them to account, there's nothing wrong with that. But the first thing you've got to do is make sure that you have got your team's backs and you've got them on your side and making sure that they know what they've got to do. You've got to build accountability and make sure that, let's face it, nobody wants to grow in a non kind of way. You need to have a way of feeling that makes you grow outside the famous comfort zone. Challenge is the key to this. And sometimes getting that wrong, can go wrong for you. I've not pushed when I should have pushed. I know that. I reflect back at that. I've learnt and grown when I've not held someone to account. I've tried to take everything off them. Now that's done two things. It's meant I've let those people not be accountable for their own work. It's also allowed them to step back and allow me to take blame when, of course I'm accountable. But tough managers need to challenge their teams. And I have sometimes not done that well. They have to be able to give as honest and hard feedback to the individual. So when it comes to building accountability with your team to make them excellent, you have to have a tough edge to you. Now, my style is honest and authentic, of course, but I think sometimes I've probably not hit that. So when you're reflecting on these ones and you're thinking to yourself, I'm not a tough manager, I'm a soft manager, don't beat yourself up. You can learn and you can get better. Now, people who are tough, or managers who are tough, they'll say things like, I want to make sure you're the best you can be. You might not want to hear this, but you need to hear this. Poor leaders, they avoid those tough conversations. But it's not about shaming the individual. It's about shaping them. When you're tough, you help people rise to their potential. Stop them making excuses. Stop them being mediocre. And trust me, the best employees, the high performers, they want tough managers because they know they'll get better and better when they're under that kind of leadership. Toughness also protects the team. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. Sometimes you are soft and overprotective of a team, and I've said I've done that before. But when you're not tough, you're not protecting your team. You're punishing them. You're letting them down. You're letting them underperform. Guess who carries the weight? The good people. And of course, you as a leader will carry the weight. So, don't feel guilty about being tough. It's certain positions you're going to have to be. If you avoid those hard conversations, dysfunction will fester and the bar will lower and the standards will slip. And if you're not nice and you don't make the tough decisions, morale will suffer. And eventually, your best people, they will lead. Being tough, as I've said earlier, isn't about being feared. I hope you've never been a manager that's feared. And if you are, thank you for coming and listening to this podcast, because you're going to learn around the fact that you don't need fear and you don't need your positional power to get things done. It's about being respected. Because you do what the right thing is for the team, even when it's hard, you start to shoulder the blame sometimes, and your team will understand that, and they will then rise themselves to your standards that you've expected as your tough manager. And of course, when we work in businesses, we want to win, we want to succeed, we want to deliver results. So tough managers win. Let's be real, business is a competitive game. Organisations don't thrive on being normal. They thrive on results. Tough managers build resilient teams. They raise the bar. They earn the trust through consistency and fairness, not favouritisms. And when it's time to hit the big goals, the big results, and when it's that kind of leader you need at the front, who are they going to look towards? They're going to look towards the tough, fair, consistent, strong leader. So if you've been holding yourself back recently, and I can understand that, look, we're all human, we all want to be like, and you try to be the cool boss and you're trying to avoid conflict to keep the peace, I get it, I really do. But ask yourself, is that really serving your team? Is that serving the goals that your team need? Or even is it serving yourself? Toughness isn't being cruel. It's not being feared. It's courageous. Be the leader who challenges, who connects with people, who cares enough to demand good results, demand a high standard, because you know they can give more. And when you do that, when you are the tough, consistent manager, you won't just be known as a tough manager. You'll be known as a transformational, fair and good leader. Because good leaders get results, invest in people, and make sure people feel part of the team. Now, one thing all good leaders also do is take and give good feedback, because it is a gift. So, as I say at every moment I can, please send me your feedback on this show, on other shows, on many other shows that I've had. And thank you so much for all the feedback I have received over the past few weeks. I've had a couple of people individually reach out to me and thank you for the show, and be very clear in some feedback around what I can do differently. So thank you for those. But if you want to do some more, you can obviously put it in the comments wherever you're hearing this, or you can send it to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. And I'd love to engage on new and old topics. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Manager Matt. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.